everyone, welcome back! In this video, I'm going to be unboxing another Scrawlr box, and this time it's box number 93. This box featured the artist Francesca Franceschi, an Italian artist, and the Ecoline Duotip Markers as the art supply. As usual, the box included the Scrawlr zine, an artist print, and I absolutely love this one, and an A5 mixed media paper pad. Before I unbox the rest of the supplies, here's a flip through of the Scrawlr zine. Lastly, the box also included the candy, which is way too old for me to consider enjoying, a themed sticker, a paper describing the box supplies and the box theme, which was Kaleidoscope, a Copic multiliner in black and 1.0 thickness, a regular pencil, and a set of 3 Ecoline Duotip markers in the recommended primary colors. The main theme for this box was the CMYK palette, which stands for Cyan, Magenta, Yellow, Black. This is the main color model used in printing nowadays, as opposed to the RGB palette, which stands for Red, Green, Blue. The main difference between these two color palettes or color models is that the CMYK consists of subtractive mixing, meaning that the more color you add, the darker the color output that you get. And in contrast, RGB consists of additive mixing, meaning that it uses the different intensities of either red, green or blue to get the different color outputs required. If you're not working with printing, then there isn't much you need to worry about both palettes or models, but to make it easier to understand, RGB is mainly used in monitors and smartphones, whereas most printers will use CMYK. Where it concerns color mixing, mainly in watercolor, I am a big fan of using cyan, magenta and yellow as my primary colors. I will also usually forgo black, as I can easily mix it by combining all three, unless I want a super saturated, flat and opaque black. So it goes without saying that I was very excited to try this box out. I've also been a very big fan of the Ecoline liquid watercolors, and although I don't currently have them in my watercolor collection, they are a dream to paint with due to their saturation. Because the Ecoline liquid watercolors are dye-based, the only thing I ever had to worry about was the paper I used them with, as some papers absorb these watercolors and don't allow them to lift whatsoever. I know that having liquid watercolors around is not always very convenient, but I have managed to dry them into half pans, and I can confirm that it worked without any paint texture or re-wettability issues. My best advice is to do the drying process over the summer months and to only add a little bit of paint at a time, wait for it to thicken and then repeat until you have as much paint as you want in a pan. One full bottle of Ecoline liquid watercolor yields a bit more than one very full half pan, so if you are planning on drying the whole bottle, it will be best to use a full pan instead. If you are looking for extremely vibrant dye-based watercolors but in a portable format and you are not bothered with a lengthy drying process, I recommend you try drying them out. I'm still very new to using markers, so this was another reason why I wanted to try this box. I was expecting these markers to have a brush tip, like the scarlet one I already own from Ecoline, but instead these have both a thin and a chisel tip nib. As I was expecting, the markers do bleed if you overlap them when they are still wet, but I found it very interesting that there are so many different ways on how you can use these. You can use them directly on paper and layer them, just like with any marker, or even use them like watercolors. I tried to blend them directly on paper, apply them on a palette and then use a brush to apply the color on the paper, and I also used a brush to pick the color directly from the nib and then apply the more concentrated color on the paper. I played around with the wet-on-wet technique as well, and I love all the possibilities that these markers offered. The only thing I would keep in mind is that if you want to keep the color as saturated as possible, then you have to pick up the color directly from the nib, as the color does lose its intensity whenever water is added. The only downside of this box is that the mixed media paper that was included doesn't seem to be adequate for these markers for two reasons. It not only doesn't allow the markers to be blended with water, as the color sticks to the paper and doesn't budge, but it also peels, leaving a lot of paper residue on the surface. Perhaps a watercolor paper would have been more suitable, but then again, not all watercolor papers are suitable for dye-based watercolors, especially cellulose papers, which is what is usually included in the Scrawlr boxes. In order to avoid the peeling, I tried my best not to overlap the markers, but even without any overlapping, I still had issues with it. At the end of the day, I still think that this was a very fun box for me to try. I usually don't play around this much with the supplies while doing first impressions, but I really love testing these markers, even considering the paper issues that I had. I really can't wait to try these markers on different watercolor papers to find one more suitable for them. And that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching the Scrawlr box unboxing. I'd love to know if you've ever used these Ecoline Duotip markers and if you have any tips on how to best use them, or even if you can recommend a watercolor paper that would work better with them. Let me know down below in the comments. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Also, if you watched this video all the way through the end, why not go ahead and leave a leaf emoji in comments below? Not only are emojis cute, but it also helps a lot with the algorithm and for my video to reach more people. My next video is going to be about painting realism with watercolors, so if that interests you, feel free to click the notification button so you are notified when that video goes live. Once again, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video!